ちょっとなまってきたな。どこかに調停人の出番はないか？アビスの声に身を委ねていたなら、私はとっくに私ではなくなっていただろう。本能に抗うことは生き残るよりも難しい。
Oh shit! I forgot to pop into Miliastra. I forgot to pop into Miliastra the other day because I think I need to log in. I need to pop in here 3 days a week for the weekly. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, shit. And I also need to do these things. Oh, 3 different ones. God damn it, that's annoying. Yeah. I guess, I mean, I get a free battle pass, so I guess I'll do it, but yeah, it's definitely not something I'm interested in at all. It is whatever. Okay, so let's get the fuck out of here. How do I get out of here? Oh, how do I get out? This? No, that's not it. My escape. Just quit me out. Oh, okay, well, that's fucking dumb. It'd be nice if they had a way to get out easily. I mean, maybe one of those things was a way to get out. I was kind of hoping the map would be like Genshin, be like, oh, okay, well, you can select another area. Maybe if I looked at the map a little more, I could have seen it, but whatever. Anyway, let's continue the main story. Because I'm going to wait to spend my resin, if I do spend my resin, so later, because I only need 4 more, so I can't even do the, I don't think I can turn in, everything for my battle pass. Do I even need my battle pass? Am I maxed out? Either way, but yeah, so it's like, so I was only 4 resin away from being able to condense it, so I'm like, okay, I'll just do any resin shit at the end. I'll start this part. Okay, no.
ところで、ファルカさんはこのニコという人、いや、
ああ、実際に会ったことはないな。アリスは自分の知ってることを彼女と共有するのが好きみたいだな。例えば、淑女の優雅に見える話し方とか。
So that just makes it even more confusing, right? Like, so Alice is supposedly human because they literally called her out for being human, and they made it seem like it was rare amongst the mages. But then who the fuck is N then? Like, and who the fuck is Alice? Like, how is Alice, a supposed human, taking other mages under their wing and teaching them how to behave, right? Like, now maybe N is new, right? Like, maybe N replaced the previous N. You know, maybe there is a cycle of inheritance. Kind of like Mona, right? Like Mona has a master, So if N was taken under Alice's wing, then the chances are Mona's master is not her. It was the whole fate thing, so I kind of assumed it was. Although maybe it's the kind of thing where Nicole is like non-human, and so she just never really worried about her behavior. And from what I remember, like Mona had some choice words to say about her master. So her master might just be kind of annoying and a jerk. And so maybe it's Alice was like, I'm going to teach you to stop being such an asshole, right? It could be like that. Or Mona's master could be, I think maybe starts with M, maybe? So it might be different, right? Nicole's fascination with fate and shit might not be... Because like when you think astrology and all that shit, it's like they're trying to divine fates and stuff like that. I assume they're the same, but maybe they are different. Maybe Mona's master is someone else. Because Mona's master always did seem like really old too, like a granny type old, which is kind of weird. It wouldn't make sense if I know what Nicole looks like, so it's like obviously not that. So. And it does kind of beg the question of like, yeah, who is Alice? Like, how old is Alice really? Because like they made it seem like the mages were like these inhuman creatures, like Archons, basically, like maybe immortal beings. Maybe. Because it's like hard to say, because right, like Rhine-Daughter is immortal, like she's been living for 500 years. I guess we just don't know too much about them, so maybe we will learn and we'll be like, oh no, yeah, there is actually a proper, like, the Hexen Circle has existed for a long period of time, but they have been training their successors and all that shit. Now maybe some of them are like inhuman beings. Maybe they're not human, but maybe they are also not immortal, so they do have to pass along their stuff. But they kind of made it seem like Alice was like the first one in the Hexen Circle who was human. Which is like, well, wait, what? Then how is she still when did this happen? Like, how old is she? Because she seems like she's incredibly knowledgeable, like all this shit. She was treating Venti as a child, and even if Venti had a refresh 500 years ago, right? Maybe beating Durin onto Dragonspine, took up all his energy, so he went into hibernation and woke up with a smaller, less powerful body. But he's still like super old. So the fact that she's treating Venti as a child, I mean, Venti does act like a child, so it could be that. It could be that she treats him like a child because of his behavior, not because of what he is. Maybe I can understand that. You do definitely kind of need to keep him under supervision to a degree.
確か面白いが必須条件だったな。その基準で言えば、お前たちも魔女会に加入できるんじゃないか？
アリスがいないからって勝手なこと言うなよ。
いやいや、俺はただ魔女会は
そういうことにしといてやるぜ。でも誰も
何か目印になる装飾品でもつけてるといいんだがな。
でもアリスは別にニコがも
確かに。
ではあちらの方が。
俺はファルカ、セピロス騎士団の北風騎士。
うわ、人違い。
私が首を振ったのはアリスがあなたについて話したことはなかったから。
Oh, that's cool.
ごめんなさいね。事情があって最初は少し慣れないかもしれないけど。い
や、それより。
Oh, I see. I was gonna say like, wait, I didn't see a chat bubble for that. There was like, no, they did the chat bubble twice to let you know. Hey, by the way, if you ever hear her speak, it's actually done through these bubbles, and we're just too lazy to animate them every single time. It seems.
あなたたち二人に関しては2回話したことはあった。
Which is fine. Like
やっと。
Because if you had to do chat bubbles for everything, it would mean that you could only do smaller sentences for her to make sure that it would fit in a readable way above her head. You'd also have to have her always on screen so that you could see the chat bubble above her head. which would be heavily restrictive for directing scenes like this. So twice. So presumably the book, right? Book was one, and then I think we did hear her voice when we were in Fontaine, which is what we said before. So is that the 2 times? Did we actually see her, or does she mean communicating?
人違いじゃなかったんだな。
どういたしまして。今回私たちが触れる物語はまだ練り改めて自己紹介するわね。私は
Yeah, she's really hot. So that's interesting, right? The master sculptor, okay. That's fine. I wouldn't really know if she's a sculptor. Like I would imagine more like Rhindaughter was more of a sculptor. She actually did create life. So the immortal literary giant, that's interesting. So is she actually immortal then? But then it does beg the question, if she's immortal, then why was Alice the one teaching her shit, right? How did Alice, a mortal person, take an immortal being under her wing to teach her shit? Again, it could just be that she, while being immortal, she might not be very socially aware. Kind of like Columbina. Columbina is at least 500 years old, but her people skills are kind of lacking. So I could understand that, to be like, oh yeah, she was just lacking in her people skills. And so Alice, upon meeting her, decided to teach her some stuff. Okay, maybe, Silent Angel, that's interesting. And also the order, the instant they utter a word. So, is it that the reason she doesn't speak is that her voice has some sort of power? Because I believe I've read a story where like whatever you say, whatever they say will come true, or like their voice had some sort of power. So like if they spoke in anger, it would like be a destructive force, and so it was incredibly risky for them to speak because they could cause issues. So I'm kind of curious if she's like that. Like maybe everything she says comes true, so she has to be very careful not to say too much so she doesn't affect the natural order of the world type thing. That's funny. That's amusing. Because that's been something that's happened before, right? Pretty much every time we've met a Harbinger, they've done an almost identical, like, little background thingy of like, oh look, this is the Harbinger. Here's a little thing behind them. And of course we think, as gamers, oh, okay, that's just a game thing. That's the game itself explaining who this person is, not a literal thing that exists within this world. And so when it happened for Alice, we're just like, okay, it's just like the Harbinger's thing, cool. But now the fact that she sees that and smacks it away, makes us realize, oh, maybe Alice was the one who. Maybe who knows? For all we know, the Harbinger ones could have also been Alice too. Alice might have been putting up those little things for us, and we just weren't aware of. Or it could be the Harbingers were actually gamified text, whereas the one for Alice and Nicole were ones that she herself put into the game. She has already kind of broken the fourth wall before, so that is pretty funny.
せっかく言いたいことを整理して練ってきたのに、こういう時に限って人の計画を壊しにかかるんだから。ごめんなさい。アリスったら魔女界の全員に一人一人に合わせてカスタマイズし術式発動の条件は全部排除したはずだったのに、どうして？
Okay, so that's interesting. So that means that we could assume then that the Harbinger's one was not hers, or could have been, right? She could have just done introduction magic. Because like she says she did it for the Hexen Circle, she could have also done it for other people. And she's just only aware of the Hexen Circle one. But that is still pretty funny.
ニコさん、その
Oh, we only said once? So I guess So I guess then
聞かせてもらえるで
this
は
would be the Harbingers don't count then. The Harbinger ones wasn't Alice. So the introductions for the Harbingers were not visible by the Traveler. Otherwise, we would have mentioned we've seen it more than once. Okay.
あれみんな、さっきのことは、
何のことだ？記憶にないな。
そう。私の名前は、ニコ。理想の形態と
Wait, what?
力を
Oh,
保っている
she actually is an angel.
数少ない
So she is an immortal being
使い
then,
のうちの一
presumably.
人
Wait, do we know what angels are though? Because like angels are presumably, angels are the servants of God. So is she an angel of the heavenly principles? Is that? I don't remember them ever mentioning angels though. That's the thing. Like we've seen the heavenly principles act, like in Fontaine, where they cursed Fontaine. But I don't really remember there being like a lot of angels. Also, it's kind of weird. Like angels have retained, few angels have retained both. So what happened to the other angels? What happened to angels in general? When did they come into existence? Are they Teyvat? Like they don't seem to be. I would not expect them to be Teyvat natives because obviously the natives were the dragons and the dragon people. So I would assume that these are angels. These angels are servants of the heavenly principles that invaded Teyvat.
旅人とパイモンは聞いたことがあるはずね。中にいる私と同じ種族のものは、
Oh.
ヤガミと呼ばれているわ。
Oh yeah. I forgot. I forgot she was called an angel, didn't it? It was kind of overshadowed by Ronove, the god of death, who made the deal with Capitano. It does make you kind of forget that. Oh yeah, there's Lord of Night because like we never actually saw the Lord of Night. It was always just a voice when talking. Yeah, and she was an angel who used her power to create the ley lines. Interesting.
そうだったな。思い
彼女と比べれば、私はより完全な力を保っているの。
This company
長
that's
期に
drifting
わたっ
around.
てやめておきましょう。長くなってしまうわ。みんなが来たのは、月に行く方法を知るためよね。
Yeah. So then but that the Lord of the Night is an angel, similar to her, then does kind of confirm that angels are servants of the heavenly principles. Which I mean, we already kind of like we could already allude to that, simply because it's very unlikely that they would be working with the dragon civilization.
その通りだ。何か心当たり
そうかの戦い
I mean, I want to ask more about the gods. Tell us more about the gods.
方法があるけれど、
Oh, hey, cool.
どうやら
Okay, so it begins.
戦いという概念から話した方が良さそうね。 いいえ、これもやめておきましょう。時間があるときにまた話すわ。
God damn it.
とにかく、その戦いが
Wait,
終わったから、3つの月は
Oh.
偽りの空の外に行ってしまったの。
Wait, okay, so then... Okay, that makes it a little more confusing then. Because after the war ended, the moons retreated, right? So, I assume that they made the false sky to protect against the abyss, but there would only be a need to protect against it after the dragon god came back. But the war, when the dragon god came back, shattered 2 of the moons. So how did 3 moons retreat beyond the false sky if 2 of them had been destroyed? So was it that the heavenly principles came, kicked the dragon god out, and then created a false sky right then and there? And the War of Funerary Flames is the initial fight against him before he was corrupted by the Abyss? And then... that kind of throws my perception of how the order of things. And also, they mentioned the Hyperboreans. They mentioned that was 6,000 years ago. which doesn't make sense because the Archon War was 7. So, unless maybe the Archon War is the War of Funerary Flames, and it was only after, and maybe the war was waged for a millennia, and then six. So maybe the war was waged for a long period of time, for 1,000 years, before finally the dragon god retreated. 3 moons were tucked behind the false sky, and then that was the 6,000 years ago point.
私たちの助けのもとで授かった文明と創造を受け入れた人類、つまりシュペルボレイヤ人は多くの天の使いの恩恵を受けたわ。それでも中には月に対する信仰を宗家の戦いの後も彼らは外の月とつながり月し、しかし月の三女神はその時には
Oh, wait,
魔女はきっと特別な方法で会話してるんだ。
Oh, interesting.
月のことを
Okay,
話
so
してるみたい。
then the moons were destroyed then. So this is the War of Funerary Flames is the one that the god. So maybe it was 7,000 years ago was the initial kicking the abyss. No, I guess it could. Well, let's. Okay, so it seems that if they're saying that 6,000 years ago the moons were destroyed, then that would mean that. So when she says the 3 moons, I don't know, because that's the thing. When you say 3 moons, it's like I wouldn't say 2 shattered moons. I wouldn't consider a shattered moon a moon, right? I would say, oh yeah, the shattered remnants of this moon, it retreated beyond the sky. Well, no, I'm thinking 3 actual moons retreated. But from what Lama says, even at that point, the moons were shattered. So that does go in line with what I was previously thinking. The Archon War was the war against the Abyss corrupted dragon. And then maybe that lasts for 1,000 years before the moons were shattered, false sky was created to protect against the Abyss, and the frost moon and the 2 shattered moons were kicked out back into space.
その通りよ。でも当時の人々は月神に慈悲をやがて彼らは
Okay, yeah, so that does confirm it. So at the time of the false sky, at the time of the Hyperboreans, 6,000 years ago, the moons were shattered. So it was after the Abyss Dragon God came back, and the moons were shattered in that war. It must have been the Archon War or the War of Funerary Flames. I guess they could be 2 separate wars. It could be that there was the Archon War might be the initial kicking of the non-Abyss ridden dragon, and then 6,000 years ago is when he came back, and as well as shattered the moons. Hard to say. I don't think they really talked about how long the Archon War lasted, though. I think it was during the Archon War that the Yaksha were created by Zhongli, presumably, and they were fighting like demons and evil and shit like that. So, which would make sense if it was the Archon. If it was during, at a time when the Abyss had started corrupting this planet.
その結果はみんなの知る通り、
なんだか
あの頃人類の状況は本当にひどかった。
ちょっと待ってくれ。この歴史と
関連性はあら、確かに。
God damn it! Shut up, Varka. I want to hear about this shit.
最近誰かの脳内でお話をする機会がなかったから、さあさあ、ヒュペルボレイヤ人の考案した儀式について話そうとしていたんだったわね。
Ah, that's a cute face.
偽りの空の障壁を乗り越え、月を見ることができるということは。
But yeah, that is true. Yeah, if they were able to see the shattered moons. Now, of course, the weird thing is that... Actually, no, I guess technically the frost moon was still there. Because I was going, how do you establish a connection with something that's not there, right? How do you establish a connection with the destroyed moons? So, also, there's a huge difference between like, it wasn't actually a connection, right? Maybe their only connection was with the false sky, and then they were just able to see through it, right? Maybe they're just latch themselves onto the false sky, and then just like, you know, look through a window or something. You know, make the false sky clear, and so they could see. And oh shit, everything's dead. Like, did they actually get a connection, an actual connection to the moon? Because like, you don't need an actual connection to the moon. Because like, presumably, how do you establish connection with the two destroyed ones, right? You could argue that they tried to establish connection with all three, and were not able to do it with two, and were able to do it with one. And that's why they knew, oh, two of them are gone. But then why would they say all three are dead? Is it that they weren't able to establish connection with two, establish connection with one, and didn't get a response? So they just assumed it was dead? Or maybe that was it. Maybe they sent a connection out to all three and got no response back for any of them, and so they just assumed, oh shit, they're all dead. Right? Even though Frostmoon still technically existed.
ということは、さらに強い空爆機を使って。
なるほど。つまり、
ああ、そう。
どうしたんだ？なんか、
ここまでうまくまとめてくれるとは思わなかったのよ。
イナ、どれも書面に記録して保存すべき貴重な知識だ。
そう？じゃあ、もっと詳しく説明するわね。実は、さっきはちょっと省略してたんだけど。
I like how Colomina is just wandering around throughout this entire conversation.
待て。ヒュペルボレイア人の方法をなぞるなら、その建築物を見つけて、十分な豪月と光月の月髄が手元にある分、空爆機の心配をする必要はない。肝心なのはその建築物がどこにあるか見つけること。
その通りよ。でも、虚栄の現象を使って、建物がまだ存在している。
She was talking about that structure when we had the statue in the background, so I assumed that pillar was the structure.
言い方が悪かったわね。虚栄の本当に建築物があった時代に行く必要はないわ。その建築物が投影される時代に行けばいいの。あるいは、
ちょっと意味不明すぎて。
どうすれば簡単に説明できるか考えてみ
It's also weird, right? She's like, oh, like we could send your phantoms back in time, or send your phantoms to a place where the phantom of it appeared, and have your phantom interact with that phantom. And it's like, well, how the fuck do we do that in the first place, right?
今から数日間。
It's also kind of weird. So Nicole's presumably going to be a playable character. But like, she's a literal angel, so like, shouldn't she be like super fucking powerful?
みんなを呼び出すわ。
Or maybe that's it. Maybe she's going to lose. Because like, that's kind of how it's kind of been, is that when we get Archons, it's after they've lost power. Like, we got Venti after his Gnosis had been stolen. Zhongli gave away his Gnosis, so he was, you know, presumably that's why he wasn't super as strong as he was before. Same for Raiden. Raiden hasn't had her Gnosis in a while, because Yamika had been holding on to it, but she also gave away that to protect us. Nahida also gave away hers. But to be fair, hers was mostly used to power her network. And then, you know, again, Fontaine also lost it. It was also Fiorina used like a collection of her power to basically sever herself from the fate of an Archon. So it's like her being not an Archon at that point is understandable. Mavica, I think her Gnosis is powering the Eternal Flame, so like it's constantly in use, not by her. Also, she's human, so it could be that she might not be able to use it to the degree that other Archons could because of her humanity. So, hard to say, really. So, like, them not being all-powerful gods makes sense, but, like, according to her, she's a servant of the fucking god who retained her form and power. Shouldn't she be, like, insanely powerful, then? Because, like, another angel, the Lord of Night, you know, used their power to form the Leyline network, so, like, that seems like a pretty unimpressive thing. But I guess it could be also the nature of her power. The nature of her power is in a non-combat profession, then her combat utility might not be amazing. I guess they could rationalize it like that.
ある儀式を行うと、特定の人間は虚栄に入って、 建築のあった場所にたどり着く実行可能だと確認できれば、期月の夜に月神を月に送り返せるわ。
ああ、つまりは。
ええ。
よし、それでは。
私のそちらのお嬢さん、
私に
この前連絡した時は少し混乱していたせいで、まだあなたの名前を聞いていなかったわ。
私は蒼月の子。
ああ、やっぱり蒼月の子の人だった。もしよかったら夜にまたそのまま記録するのはリスクが高いから。
Ooh, can we show up for that? I want to hear more.
童話や偶話、祈祷文の形に直すことをおすすめするわ。でもそんなことは全てお話を。
親切な人では。
そろそろ最初から最後まで話さないと忘れてしまうところだったから聞いて。
アリスのアドバイスの意味がやっとわかったぜ。
なっはっは、さすがアリ。さて、月神の嬢ちゃんの名前を探す。
I mean, to be fair, yeah, I would imagine all the Hexen Circle are. Then why is she a mage then? Like, you know, if she's a, although maybe like the Hexen Circle isn't literally mages, right? Like Alice, she dresses like a magician, right? She does a lot of magic-y shit, but I guess that could be they just have some sort of power. Actually, yeah, I guess that could be it. They just have a power, right? Maybe a non-elemental unique power. You know, like Alice doing all the shit she does, and created that, like, I think it was N, yeah, that good Nicole just now. Oh, she was the one who created that book world, right? So it's like, that's obviously like not a super element. It's not intrinsically elemental, it seemed. So yeah, so maybe people in the Hexen Circle just have to have an ability, a really interesting, powerful ability. I mean, not even power, but maybe just really interesting, unique ability, and that's all it takes to be considered.
そうだな。いざ探す。
私も彼女の話を聞いた後、蒼月の子に関する文献も調べておきたい。信憑性の高い記録はクータルが生まれた後のものしかない。
なんかコロンビーナがテイワットで歩いた後は。
Oh yeah, I guess it's true. Because like, if the more factually accurate stuff was after Kutar's birth, which would be 500 years ago, it also could be that the Fatui, because of their close association with Conrian, the Conrians like Piero, Capitano, and I mean, who knows how much the Cryo Archon herself knows? You know, if the Sarita how old is the Sarita? Is she someone who lived during the Archon Wars, during the War of the Funerary Flame, or is she also like Nahida that kind of popped into existence 500 years ago, maybe replacing the previous one? So we don't really know. We really know nothing else about the Sarita at all. So, but yeah, it could be that the three. I mean, to be fair, the Sarita was the one who approached Columbina to get moon powers. So presumably she knows more. Presumably she's not 500 years old. She actually is someone from a time when the moons existed, and that's why she knows more about it. So it could be that the Harbingers are operating under more information than we have, because they have someone who lived back then, and two Conrians who also lived 500 years ago, who were involved with. I mean, the Conrians themselves worship one of the destroyed moons, so they might know more about moon history that the Conrians are aware of. A little hard to say, because obviously they were being hunted down like animals, so, and I would assume a lot of their research and history has been lost, just due to being actually destroyed by the douchebag king.
まずは文献から取り掛かろうぜ。
よし、じゃあ蒼月の子の方は任せた。俺はファデュイと連絡を取ってみる。協力してくれそうなのはアルレッキーノとサンド。
感謝する。
And we're getting in touch. Like, we can get in touch with them. Like, we just walk over. I mean, realistically, couldn't we just go to Catherine and be like, "Hey, Catherine, can you set up a meeting with Sandrone, please?" She might be able to do that. But similarly, we could just like walk into their base. Like, we've walked into their base before to speak with them, and it was fine before.
気にするな。レディの幼年時代の。
ついて行ってみよう。何か
Cool. So nice. We're gonna be part of the llama's talk with Nicole. It seems, which is good because I wanted to be part of that. See, wow. I mean, okay. To be fair, luckily, it was not. Luckily, the quest starter was slightly away from the teleporter. But Jesus fucking Christ! Like, if you had accidentally teleported here and moved even slightly, it would automatically trigger. Again, don't make proximity-based quests. Like, look at us. It's us talking to Llama. You could have just had Llama at the table, and we'd have to just go and talk to Llama to trigger this. Like, it's that fucking simple. Just, I understand that there are some narrative things you can do with proximity-based ones, but realistically, game-wise, there are no advantages to it. It only just makes people do things they weren't expecting to do if they didn't have that quest focused. Like, it's fine if you want to do proximity-based in, like, the middle of nowhere, right? Where it's like, oh, well, this is, like, the middle of bumfuck nowhere. There's, like, the amount of people who accidentally trigger this are very low. So, sure, have Llama at the top of a cliff, and when you get close to her, it automatically starts. Fine. But this is a heavily populated area, right next to the thing that you'd be using to, right next to the thing you would be normally using to like, progress the Frostmoon Scion's, like, reputation level. So it's like, it's just heavily in the middle of things where you're going to naturally, run through as part of your exploration. So just don't put quest triggers in those locations that you can't avoid.
はるか昔の話であり、口伝で残ってきたものも多い。改変され、神聖を歴史に隠された答えを見つけるなら、まずは
確かにそうだな。ほとんどがクータルでコロンビーナを指してるのは。
Well, yeah, because it wasn't Columbina the name that she was given at when she became a carpenter. So, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, obviously, we don't know. She didn't specifically tell us. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, that is the one she was given as part of the Harbingers. So she was always nameless. And so she was just called Kutar until she left, and then joined the Harbingers, at which point they gave her a name called Mina. So Kutar is obviously not her real name. Columbina definitely is not.
蒼月の子は彼女を神として敬ってきた。同時に深い信仰心を貫くことは間違いではない。しかし、ただ日々祈り続く彼女の立場から考えると、おそらくその時から彼女はクータルという
ラウマの言う通りかも。期待に満ちた声でクータルと呼ばれる時、
一概には言えぬな。描写の現実味、クータルに対する印象。蒼月の子で彼女の存在を知っておるのは私だけだ。彼女と面と向かって話したからこそ、彼女が絶対、しかし同時に、近頃、
変化？私に？これ以上話してても拉致が開かないよな。
そうだな。
Is the unreliable stuff her doing something silly and she's going to be like embarrassed? She's going to be like, oh no, someone actually saw me do that.
血行を移す海面に投げ入れた。こうしてヒストはできたのである。なんだよ。どう考えても3つの月などというのは完全なる偽りである。我々に残された月は
古書のほとんどにはこういった物語が記されている。クータルは何も言わず、ただ遠くを見つめられた。彼女の両の瞳の交わるところに、この本を書いた人はクータルに会ったことすらない。彼女、
お前は何を見てるんだ？どれどれ？子供はひな鳥が寒くないように巣を作ってあげようとした。しかし力が弱すぎて、そこでクータルは月齢をお呼びになった。 そして子供は神がどうして自分をお助けになったのかは、英月氏は鳥の巣を奇跡だと言って高所に祀った。子供しかし神の祝福は二度と下される。
Yeah, I bet it's something she just randomly did with no great meaning whatsoever. And then people are like, oh my god.
この話だよな。コロンビ
ああ、私がこの物語をこちらに分類したのは今考えると確かにやりそうなことではある。
あいつは自分の行動がどう誤解されるか、どんな迷惑。
あ
あ、なんか今も私は結局コロンビーナの本当の名前はわからなかった。
I mean, I guess, yeah, obviously. Couldn't we just give her a name, though? Because, like, the whole point is that she needs a name that she herself will identify with, right? But if she wants to stay, right, if she wants to stay in this... Well, actually, I guess that's the problem, too, is that she doesn't really want to stay. She wants to leave. So trying to give her a new name would mean that she would have to have enough attachment to this world to want to keep a new name and identify with that new name. But considering the whole point of this is for her to just stay alive long enough to fuck off, chances are giving her a new name won't have enough of a connection with her to do something like that, which is understandable, but where is it? Oh. Yeah, those proximity days. So yeah, I guess having a name that she already identifies with might be doable. Because then all we need to do is just find it. Whereas creating a new one, we'd have to make sure she cares about it enough. And of course, we can see her, right? So we could give her a new name, right? But would they give her a new name off the cuff, not knowing if she's there or not to hear it? Because obviously, if she's not there to recognize it, then it's a meaningless gesture.
俺が残るよ言ったんだ。
我々が戻るのを待っておったのか？つまり。
もちろんだ。あとは一緒に行くだけさ。
コロンビーナの本当の名前が見つからなかった。
俺の推測は正しかったみたいだな。月神の嬢ちゃんが。
ファルカはオイラたちを待ってたけど。
いや、もうアリスさんから実験について説明を受けたんだ。通信機ももらったよ。
うん。アリスさんから虚栄やテイワットの境界に関する話は聞いたでしょ？具体的なやり方はこの通信機を使って教えてくれるって言ってた。
ほう？指示通り動きながら現象。
君たちも知ってる人だよ。アルベドも知ってるけど。
別にわざわざ紹介しなくてもいい。どうせ。
Oh yeah. I named him Lucario. Because I wanted to name him Wanderer. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I think I tried a few names and they wouldn't be accepted, so I was like, fuck it, whatever. I think I just tried Wanderer and Scaramouche to rename him back to what he was before, but they obviously knew people would try to do that, so they were like, no. You can't simply name him Wanderer. You can't simply name him Scaramouche. And I'm like, I don't really give a shit. I'm not going to pull for him, so who cares? So I just gave him a Pokemon name.
実は人間の体を手に入れた後、すぐに手紙でカサッチと連絡を取ったんだ。などくらい。
カサッチ。
Wait, what? How are you writing them? No, seriously, how? Because the last time we met him was in Sumeru. Not simply just because we beat the shit out of him as part of the weekly boss, but he popped up later during Kave's. I think during the patch that Kave was introduced, there was an academy competition where each of the I think 5 or so sections of the academy all competed in a puzzle-solving race type thing, and Wanderer did appear. Wanderer did pop up and participated, and so there was a cutscene against him him and Kave and Sino all racing towards the end and fighting and shit like that. So we did have that, and that was his last appearance. But like Durin appeared much later, right? Like Durin wasn't even the summer event of that patch. The summer event of that patch was us going inside the bottle, I believe. So I think the bottle thing happened after the Wanderer event, even or maybe before. But either way, like going into the book with Durin was like last summer's event, and I think it was. Actually, last summer's event would have been like a few months ago. Was it really a few months ago? Yeah, I think, or was it, right? Crap, I'll have to check my screenshots of that event. Or do we have another summer event that I just forgotten? Either way, but it was a while ago, so it does beg the question of why the fuck is Durin contacting Wanderer, right? Like, why does he have a connection with the Wanderer? Like, it makes no sense. We hadn't heard about the Wanderer at all. And why would Durin, a brand new creature who just started existing a few months ago, or like just was created like a month or two ago, who has a physical body, how would he already have a connection to Wanderer already? You know, like I would understand if other people were like, oh no, like since Sumeru, I've been keeping in touch, right? Like if any person from Sumeru was like, yeah, I've been keeping in touch since we had that competition in Sumeru. But Durin's brand spanking new, so how the fuck did he ever get introduced to him in the first place?
実は知ってる。
ではなぜあのような
知ってたのは名前だけだからな。まあ、せっかくだから。
ラウマ。
スメール教令員、バフマナ学院ダリオッシュのカサッチだ。
Yeah, so okay, so he's actually part of the academy? I thought he was just kind of temporarily helping them out during the competition. I guess he was formally inducted into it.
また会えたね、カサッチさん。灘倉行きの船で会ったのが最後か。
そうだね。ちょうど調べたいやつがい。
調べたい？
ファデュイ執行官第2位、博士。
その言い方。
資料を整理していたら、教令員に残された資料に誤りや漏れがドットーレ。その頃はザーという名前だったけどね。
Yep. Okay. So basically, that was already assumed. Like we heard Zandik when we were doing the event of last patch, Nefer's, well, not really Nefer's event, but when we met Thoth, he mentioned that one of the people he interviewed to try to ask one of his 3 questions was a scholar named Zandik who came in with an assistant who he treated like shit, and even though he offered him power, Zandik was like, no, I'm good, and then left. And so I looked up the name because I'm like, hey, have we heard that name before? Because like, you know, because it's been a long time since we were in Sumeru, so maybe it was a name that was given away during a previous event. And it's just been so long since the last Sumeru event that I've forgotten. So basically, when I looked it up, Zandik was said to be the doctor, right? Doctore. Which of course was weird, right? Because when Thoth was talking about it, he said when he interviewed Zandik and gave him that 3rd question, it was hundreds of years ago. Which is weird, because, you know, he's a guy who studied at the academy. Someone would assume he was a human, right? So how does a human live for hundreds of years, right? And then there was also the ability that he had where he, like, could separate his cell. He had, like, multiple clones of himself, basically. And what I had assumed was that he had just, like, that he was born this century, right? And what he had done is found a way to, like, split his selves, right? Kind of like how we see these phantoms around, where they're basically just the phantom of these people who existed at one moment in time. I assume that's what he had done with his own life, right? Where he'd be like, okay, well, I've lived for this long. I'm going to have this one fraction of a second. I'm going to have this 1 second of me. The 1 second, like, I'm going to separate myself into 1 second chunks, basically, but like keep them alive, right? So it's not like they do something for a second and disappear. They're like, no, I'm going to create a shard of myself from that second in time. This shard will be exactly as I was during that 1 second, and then have him operate, you know, normally. But the problem with such a thing is that it doesn't make you immortal, right? You don't live longer. You're just having you're taking a shard of your past self and just having them perform actions. But it's not extending your own lifetime. And as you live more seconds, so you can take more shards of yourself from the past to have you do shit. But it's not extending your lifespan, so it's weird that he lived for 300 plus years. But it could also be a clone thing. It could be that 300 years ago, maybe with the help of the Conrians, he was able to clone himself and transfer his consciousness to other bodies. Or maybe his consciousness is in a machine somewhere, and he's just remotely controlling bodies. And that's why he's lived for 300 years. We never really heard about it, really. Like, the last time he appeared was in Sumeru, and we never really directly confronted him, really. Well, I mean, like, we did in Sumeru. Well, we didn't actually, like, fight him. He just summoned a bunch of Sumerans that he controlled using the Akasha terminals, and basically held them as hostages, so we had to run away. So we didn't actually fight him then. But yeah, so it was kind of weird because it was like, hey, how the fuck have you lived for so long? Like, Conrians make sense, right? Conrians were cursed with immortality. So that makes sense, right? But then, what about Dottore, who was living 300 years ago, or a few hundred years ago? You know, Thoth wouldn't have lied to us, so that has to be true. So how does that... So anyway, so the point is that I am curious. So obviously, and I know we're going to fight him, because there's already been leaks of the next weekly boss is going to be Dottore, which will be interesting, because I'm curious if we're actually going to kill him, you know? Is he going to go the way of Signora, and going to get smote, and we're going to kill him in the process, or is he going to live, is he eventually going to become a playable character, or will he just run away and, you know, pop up again later? So, but cool, it's nice that they actually literally call him out and say, yes, Zandik. Now, the interesting thing, of course, is that the quest we did, where we interacted with Thoth, was just an event quest, you know? It was just a random event quest from last patch. It's not an Archon quest, it's not a world quest. You can't go back and do it anymore. It was just during this one event quest. And Thoth eventually mentioned that the third question he gave was finally answered by Nefer, and that's who the cat is. Nefer has is an embodiment of Thoth, and the chess set was also given to her by him. So it can kind of act somewhat. It's not really a Nefer character quest. It just kind of obliquely references it. It never references her, like at the very end. So. But it's interesting. It's like, yeah, there's this random quest. Like, if you're basically playing the game now, if you started playing the game now, you wouldn't be able to see that reference. Now, it's fine, right? You know, you don't need it, but it is really cool, because if you did that quest, you might have researched it and checked it out, or maybe you didn't look it up like I did, but now, you know, you're like, wait a minute, Zandik, that's the guy who Thoth asked this question. It was an arrogant douche to Thoth, you know? So it's really cool how they tie all this shit together. That's one thing I really liked about Genshin. Genshin's storytelling does a lot of really good foreshadowing and pays it off. One of those things Wuthering Waves could never. Because they just don't... It feels like they just don't plan their story well enough ahead of time, so they can't do foreshadowing because they write their story one patch at a time, so they don't even know what's going to be in the next patch. That's how it feels like they write, because of just they're never foreshadowing. It's like, hey, if we're going to do something in this patch, it's going to only ever be addressed in this patch. Probably never again, because we're going to move on to the next thing, and we're going to just forget any events. Now, obviously, that's not 100% true. They do obviously do some references here and there, but so much of it is just dude, you're literally contradicting something you mentioned the last patch. Do you not write down? Do you not keep a record of what you've written in the story? Keep an outline of what you've said? So yeah, so Genshin is much better in that regard. That's why I really like this world, and I enjoy playing this game more, is because it feels like doing theory crafting in this game to be oh, I wonder what happened here. How did this happen? All that shit. Yeah, exactly. The Ibis King, Thoth. So all this stuff ties together, right? And so if you do your theory crafting, you eventually come out with oh wow, cool, my theory was correct. That is what happened. all the events that gave all these little hints here and there. You know, I come up with this theory, and then it ends up being correct. Whereas, like in Wuthering Waves, you listen to the information they present, you come up with a theory, and then it's completely turned on its head because they introduce something that contradicts something that your theory was based on, or they just introduce a whole shitload of new information that had no hints whatsoever. Where it's like, yeah, like there's no way in hell I could have guessed that was going to be the case, because you just dump a shitload of new information that completely changes the entire landscape of the idea, and be like, yeah. And so you couldn't ever possibly guess it because like it was tied to something they never introduced at all until the patch, the reveal happens, and you're just like, well, it feels like shit, you know? It just feels so off the cuff, right? There's never any sort of foreshadowing. We're like, oh my god, all the little hints they sprinkled here and there. Well, because like even in that patch, last patch, right? If you did the Archon quest, Nefer talked about the chess set, right? And we go into the chess set, and then as part of that, we get sucked into a ruin where we get sucked into Nefer's memory, right? About how her father and her clan was killed, and how she got her revenge, and how she met Ashru, the cat, who was the representation of the Ibis King Thoth, and then, you know, that's where Rarier appeared, and we trapped him inside the chess set. But yeah, so it's like, oh, cool, you know. So now we know that was the Ibis King, and that was Thoth. And then, in a non-Archon related quest of the same patch, we learn that we actually talk to Thoth, and he talks about the other two people he asked questions of. One of which was, I think both of which we had actually seen references to before. But the second one was the biggest, the most interesting reference. Obviously, the third one is referencing Nefer, which is really cool. Because it's like, oh, cool, like we just did an Archon quest, which, you know, talked about how she met Ashru. And this is confirmation that, yes, that indeed was the Ibis King Thoth, like we had kind of assumed. And I mean, I think she did also say that too. So it's like, oh, cool, like this event quest references that. And then also the person he asked the second question to was a dancer who eventually became queen and was betrayed. And that was the very queen that is heavily referenced and is actually a big portion of this story of the second Sumerian desert area. So the first one was the one with the big pyramid, and the second one was the one with this big, like, this big pit in the center of the desert area. And basically we met a little djinn in a bottle, and that djinn in the bottle talks about a queen, you know, and a Sumerian queen who, you know, was a complete asshole, and like, you know, was very much a tyrant, and who was overthrown. And it was like, holy shit, that's the queen. That's the person that Thoth asked the second question and gave the power to be loved. That's how she was able to become the queen, and who was a tyrant and got overthrown. It's like, holy shit, like that's such a cool reference, right? Like if you had done that Sumerian desert area, you would have a little more backstory about who that person was and what happened. And it's so cool that 2 years later, you know, that world quest is referenced as part of this other event quest, right? Like that's so cool, right? Like it makes the world feel so interconnected, you know. I really like that shit, you know, because it makes it feel like, yes, they know what the setting of the world is, and they actually are putting in little hints here and there that if you're a smart cookie and have like poured over the lore and shit like that, you can make all these connections and like learn more about it. And I really like that, because I play these games for the story. So the fact that the story is so well written and so well interconnected is really satisfying to theorycraft and to like just enjoy.
執行官第2位にし
そういえば博士が何かしでかすかもって話はラドくらいに
あいつは興味のある場所にしか行かない。でもあいつがかつてここで何をしたのかはかなり重要。
Wait a minute. But like, but Scaramouche is also a Harbinger, right? So Columbina left, right? Columbina left the Harbingers, and she got a warrant placed on her head. Now, that could be, it could just be something they have to do anyway. Like, it's like, okay, well, you can't leave the Harbingers. Like, we're going to put a warrant out. They just do it regardless. They don't actually send people out to hunt for her. But they could just be like, okay, well, we have to do this as a token to let people know that that they are a criminal, but we honestly just don't give a shit. We just can't let people leave the Harbingers with no punishment, and so the punishment is the token force of a token warrant for their arrest, right? So the question, of course, is that Scaramouche is also a Harbinger. So what about him, right? Does he have a warrant for his arrest? Is he still, I mean, we assume he's no longer working with them, but he could still be, I guess. Like, he's working with the Academy right now, but like, Arlecchino is, the head of an orphanage, so this could be a side job for him, and he could actually still be working with the Fatui. But I mean, this is also, it's been a long time since we met him, so he might even flat out just tell us.
ちょうど今からファデュイの執行官に会いに行くんだ。
そうだね。
でもあの二人は結構
蒼月のことファデュイ
Wait, why is he like, dude, he's a Harbinger too. Like, wouldn't the logical assumption be that he met them before? Like, wouldn't the assumption be that the Wanderer has met all the Harbingers? Because, like, again, he is a puppet, so he's also a puppet that's been around for a while. He might have been working with the Harbingers for hundreds of years at this point, right? So chances are he's met all the Harbingers here. Either that, or maybe he might have been stationed in Inazuma, so maybe he just never really interacted with the rest of them, and he only just did his sphere. Well, actually, technically we met him in Mondstadt, so hard to say, really. He obviously has bounced around a lot. So it is kind of weird that he doesn't mention, oh, by the way, I'm also a Harbinger, so I've actually met these people. So, like, I know how to act among... I know how... Like, we're telling him how to act to them, right? Like, even though they're Harbingers, well, they're all acquainted of ours, so, when you talk to them, try to be... I mean, okay, it could just be like... Oh, okay, actually, no, never mind. She's not telling him how to act as if he hasn't ever met them. He's trying to tell him how to act as in, I know that you're at odds with the Harbingers and the Fatui in general, and Snezhnaya even maybe, but these are our friends, so don't be antagonistic towards them like you are to Dottore.
なんだそれもある。でも、あいつに復讐、君も、暗草なりでびも、僕も、これ以上あいつに振り、心配しなくても、ハトはどこに行っても、
I mean, you say that, but where is your home, right? I guess you currently live in, presumably Sumeru, right? But, like, you were created in Azuma. Wait, what? Wait, what? How does she not know him? Wait, how do they both not know him? Like, these two have information networks. Like, Arlecchino is an assassin who has agents everywhere. There's no way in fucking hell she wouldn't know what one of her fellow Harbingers looks like. Same for Marionette. Like, she has Catherines all over the fucking place. How do you not know that this is Scaramouche, one of the previous fucking Harbingers? Like, how the fuck do you not know that?
本当ね。はい。
気にするな。
Okay, that makes no sense. Like, because like of all of them, these two would be the most likely to know, right? The other Harbingers might mostly deal within their own sphere of influence. Like, I mean, the reason why Dottore knows him is because he was actually experimenting on him. But like, it's understandable Dottore might not know, right? He will only know what he's researched, and maybe just keep a general awareness of the world as a whole. But these two are fucking informants. Like, these two are the like information sector of the Harbingers. Marionette has her Catherines all over the place. She has to hear like so much information from her Catherine network. And Arlecchino's a fucking assassin. A spy and assassin. Like, she has to have spies all over the fucking place. How did the two of them, who basically whose basically field of expertise is in information gathering, how do the two of them not know the appearance of one of the harbingers that they literally have worked with? You know? I mean, not literally have worked with. I mean, but like that they do work with. Like as part fellow harbingers. How the fuck do you not know this shit?
僕について聞かれたら、個人的な学術的。
ファルカっていろいろ手を回してたんだな。ずっと前からスメールの教令員と連絡してたなんて。
それほどでも。
言うまでもないわ。この前、私がスターダストビーチで月の狩人に手痛くやられたでしょ。ドットーレは最初から私たちなんて眼中にない。
That is interesting.
どうでもいいわ。
What would they be part of Doctoria's plan? No, because we kicked him to the curb. It'd be one thing if we destroyed him, or just destroyed his essence, and maybe Doctoria was hoping for us to shred his existence down so that he could be captured and experimented on. And so maybe us kicking him into space was not part of his plan.
君たちはドットーレが同僚としての情報。
まあ、確か
彼が怪しい動きをするたびに私は彼を警戒している。そういう面では本題に戻ろう。私とサンドローネはなぜドットーレが何の動きも見せないのか疑問に思い調べたが、
あいつはいつも自分の計画を隠す。
ああ、気配や動きさえ隠せば面倒ごとにはならないと思い込んでいる。
その通りよ。あいつは古月の意外について研究してたし、
そこで私はスネージ内に戻り、女皇陛下に直接この件を報告して。
随分と直接的だ。
ファデュイが名くらいで進めてきたことは終盤に差し掛かっている。故に結果ドットーレは命令を受けて帰還し、彼以外には誰も
あいつはよく常識から外れた。
Oh, okay. So he was recalled. Interesting. So and that was another thing I was kind of thinking of, is that maybe Tsaritsa was a puppet. That she basically is non-communicative. She's basically in a coma or something, and I had kind of thought that perhaps maybe the Harbingers have taken over, and so maybe, and I've just said, okay, well now the Tsaritsa is in her coma or whatever, and hasn't really been communicating with us. The head of the Harbingers, Piero, was I'm gonna just commandeer her authority to do my plan. But then there's been multiple instances, and this was a theory I had ages ago, years ago. But obviously since then we've heard about her directly interacting with her harbingers, and so presumably she's not. Now she might not care as much, right? But the fact that she did, I mean, especially with this, the fact that you were able to convince her to bring him back and that he, came back is interesting. So it does kind of show that she still does retain her authority to a degree. Obviously, he could have just come back as a formality, be well, whatever, I'm not really needed here, rather than go against her and raise everyone's ire. I might as well just come back. Oh, okay. But yeah, sorry. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so it could be. It could be that she might not have any real power, but symbolically you can't resist her orders, or else every harbinger might be pissed at you. Oh, okay, never mind. Okay. So I guess she is pretty much still in power. Because the fact of the matter is, the two other harbingers, she still has the authority to make these decisions. It's not like the Doctor can go to Rooster and Regressor and get them to give them to him under the table. Maybe the Regressor is. The Rooster is the little tiny short guy with the huge nose. Is Regressor Piero?
確かにその可能性はあるわ。前に研究関連であいつは合理的に段階的に物事をなそうとしないのよ。思考がとても飛躍的で、好奇心が満たされたり結果を得られた瞬間、唯一似ているところがあるとすれば。
だから君は月の狩人にあそこまで。
その話はもう。
何はともあれ、ドットーレが。
Yeah, like he might have gone back, but he could have. Like, supposedly he's no longer cloning himself, according to Nihida. Now, we'll assume that he's a trustworthy folk, that if he does make a promise, he does uphold it. Obviously, he could also be a lying piece of shit. But let's assume, for argument's sake, that he is being truthful. It could be that whatever experiment or something he was planning and investigating and working on, he might be able to, like, still continue it remotely, right? Or he might pop back in during, like, key moments, right? Like, so it's like, sure, I'm doing an experiment. It doesn't really need me there at the moment, but I'll leave Snezhnaya, pop back during critical moments when I'm needed, and then go back to Snezhnaya type thing. It could be something like that.
あの月髄の件か？
おそらくあいつが普段から実験マニュアルをガン無視して無数の設備を破壊した。
その通りよ。前にあいつが超高温実験をしていた時、実験材料が爆発したの。その結果を観測するために、煙は有毒なのに、私がそれだけじゃないわ。その後あいつどうしたと思う？まだ事後処理も終わってないの。何が時間の無駄よ。無駄になったのは私の時間。
相当。
カサッチ、君はファトスの内情。
情報提供感謝する。
Oh. I guess that's one aspect of it. Well, no, because, like, that's the thing. Is that it's one thing to be like, sure, the Harbingers keep to themselves, and if Doctori was the only one who introduced him as a Harbinger, right? So Doctori was the one who found him, brought him to Tsaritsa, and got him appointed as a Harbinger, and then sent him back to Inazuma and Sumeru. Then it could be understandable that, yeah, sure, if he never really did much action in Snezhnaya, so he might have not met the Harbingers. But, like, Arlecchino and Sandrone are both the head. Well, actually, maybe not Sandrone. Arlecchino, at the very least, is a spy. Her job is to know things and keep, spies all over the place for assassinations and whatnot, right? That's her fucking job. The fact that Arlecchino is not aware who this person is super fucking weird. It's really fucking weird. Especially because she herself is a Harbinger. And she already says, yes, she keeps track of what Doctori does because of how much of an asshole he is. So it's like, you already keep tabs on this guy. Like, how do you not know? Oh, actually, wait a minute. Yes, I forgot. Doctori is around, like, 300 or so years old. And Wanderer is also super fucking old because he's a puppet. So it could be that he was inducted into the Harbingers hundreds of years ago. Or, like, it could be like 100 years ago, right? Like, it could be 100 years ago he was inducted. And then since then he's always been based in Azuma or Sumeru, perhaps. Or, like, it could be that he's always been based outside of Snezhnaya and never really did much in there. And so if he never really did much, then it's possible Arlecchino, who's relatively young, right? She is supposedly in her, like, 30s or something like that, late 20s. Late 20s at the youngest. So presumably, if he hasn't been doing any big things, if he was inducted into the Harbingers before her time, and hasn't really been making any big moves since then, since she came into power, then I guess it could make sense that she doesn't know who he is specifically. She might know the existence of Scaramouche the Harbinger, but it also could be one of those things where it's like, I know that he exists, but there's not much information about him. And so she just is not aware. Same for Marionette. Now, technically, it does seem that she does other things as well. Like, she does seem to be a mechanical engineer. So maybe the Catherines... I would say the Catherines bring in a ton of information, but it also could be something that she personally doesn't interact with. And again, if if she's just collecting general information, it's unlikely Scaramouche, at his time as a Harbinger, would ever interact with the Catherines for his job, right? So I guess that might be how he slipped out of both of their slipped through both of their information networks. Although it's hard to tell, though. Sandrone might be old enough to have been around when he was inducted, but let's assume that that is the case, that he was inducted into the Harbingers before either of their time, and that's why, and then kept a low profile, so that's why they're just not really aware of what his sphere activities have been.
おい、もう行っちゃ。
君も好きにすれば。
なんだよもう。
なかなか印象深いや。
その通りね。個性豊かな人はいくら。本題に戻りましょう。前。
ああ、簡単に言うと、彼女とこの世界。
そのことなら本人に聞いたことがあるわ。でも知らないって言ってたわよ。私たちの関係。
私の記憶では女皇陛下がコロンビーナに神の心をだが、女皇陛下が定めた計画に
ずっとあの子にしか。
Oh yeah, and that was the other thing too, is that they've always constantly referenced the Tsaritsa's plans. So that kind of also threw a wrench into my initial theory that maybe she had been like just kind of letting the Harbingers do whatever the fuck they wanted. But they've actually actively said, oh, it's her plans. She had plans for specific things. Now maybe her plans were influenced by meeting the Conrians. Maybe the destruction of Conria made her realize, fuck the Celestial, let's rebel. And then maybe that's why she gathered the Conrians, because she knew that they would be with her plan of destroying them. So it could be that their plans align. But yeah, the fact is they are saying it's her plan. And the moon thing does seem like something that only someone who is an Archon might be truly aware of. So yeah, so she does seem like an active person. So it's interesting to see what she looks like and acts like.
多分月神の力に関することなんじゃない。
そうね。ファデュイに来たばかりの頃、コロンビーナ女皇陛下は決まってまだ木が熟していないって。女皇陛下は美しい盲目の少女を執行官に任命した。歌声が大層美しかったため第3位の席をお与えになった。つまらない噂だったけど実際
その後
さあ、コロンビーナは女皇陛下がなぜ自分を取り立てたのか理由を私はとても忙しくて、あの子が毎日ブラブラしているのを見るとイライラするようになってたけど、直感的にあの子は必要だと言われたのに。
私はただその時はただ静かに。
はあ、私の方はまるっきり逆よ。誰かに一番疲れる仕事をもらって、誰に言われたかは忘れたけど。
でも君はどんなこともうまく成し遂げてた。すごく真
Wait,
面目な人だ。
Lucaria said that she wouldn't remember? Why wouldn't she remember? Although I guess maybe it's something, maybe she did meet him. Like, or maybe her, like, I don't know if she's a robot herself, or if she ever was human, or maybe she is human, and she just has the thing on her back for fun. But it could be that if she is old, like maybe her original self was the core of this puppet. So maybe she's a puppet now, but she was a human at one point. And maybe her human self was told that by Lucario, by the Wanderer. And then when she became a puppet, it's been just so long that she's kind of forgotten.
何か思い出したの？
確かに名前を呼ぶってのは一番ストレートに。
成功を祈るわ。でも私に言い合いの時に呼び慣れちゃったから他の名前を。
私も同感だ。
サンドローネ。
Oh, is that? I guess that could be it. Maybe because like, you know. Oh yeah, Sailors are angels too, aren't they? I guess I lost their form. But that could be it. It could be that we're not going to find her true name. It could just be that we make her more identify with the Columbina name, perhaps.
お二人とも丁寧な対応痛み入る。
あ
あ。送らなくたっていいわよね。何度も来てるんだから。
じゃあ次は 洗礼との追いかけ。
Well, fuck. This is taking way longer than I was expecting. Okay, I'm gonna take a break. I was wondering if it would be a good stopping point. I thought maybe that would, but then I was starting this, and I'm not sure how long this is gonna go. But I want to. I think I will finish this today. I said I was gonna do it in the title, but I didn't also know how long it was gonna be, so I was like, well, whatever. If I can, I can. If that was a stopping point, and it was like, oh, and now it's time to do the next part of the quest, I might have stopped and be like, fuck it, I'll do another time. But I think I'm gonna go shower, microwave myself something, and then continue this quest. Finish it. So now I won't be spoiled anymore. And then I will be. I'll pop into Zenless on Zero to quickly refresh my shit. And then I'll be playing Borderlands 4. I was thinking I would start the DLC for Indiana Jones, but I'm not sure how long that's going to take, and I think it's going to take more than a day. And I'm probably not going to put in like a ton of hours into it, so it's like I definitely won't finish it today. And it seems kind of like rough because like there's a bunch of other stuff I need to do. Like I haven't done my Hollow Zero this week for Zenless on Zero. I need to do Currency Wars to do my relic rerolls. So I need to do Currency Wars, but this is also not the Currency War week. It's actually my Divergent Universe week, so I need to do that one instead. So that basically means I need to do Divergent Universe, and I really should do Currency, and both of those will take like an hour each. So like that's 2 hours there. There's the remainder of this quest, and then there's yeah. So it's like, which I could do in the evening. Like it's not super big an issue. Like I probably just won't do Final Fantasy later tonight. I'll just focus on my Zenless, my Honkai Star Rail, and then maybe if I have some extra time, I might pop into Final Fantasy to do another relic weapon or something. We'll see. But I do want to. I am kind of looking forward to Borderlands because I'm almost done with Dominion. I just have like I have a few like the southernmost section. There's a few things I'm missing, which I should be able to just go get at any point. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm first going to do all the missions and get all the obvious things on the map that I can see first. So it's the second Dominion area I have left. I know there's at least one quest, and there's a few other like propaganda speakers and shit like that to do. Shouldn't take too long, maybe half an hour to an hour to wrap up that. And then the only thing left in Dominions is like the third and second section have a few bits and bobs like echo logs and deadbolts that I could look up on the map to find instantly, but I'll leave them alone for now because I do know that like one of the echo logs in the Fade Fields is locked behind a quest in Terminus Range, which I think the quest for that will unlock it is also something that is locked behind a quest in Arcadia Burn. So it's like shit. So there's like there's these interweaving things. So what I'm gonna try doing is do as much exploration as I can naturally, while doing all the side quests, and then once I've done all the side quests in a zone, I'll move on and do everything else. So I'll go to Arcadia Burn and start actually like doing all the side quests and content there. And then once that's all done, then I'll at least know what other little bits and bobs I need to do, right? It's like, oh, okay, now that I've done all the side quests, now that I've unlocked all the things that were locked behind quests, I can then focus on, collecting the few remaining echo logs I might be missing because I just didn't happen to go to this one little corner of the map or stuff like that. So that's kind of my plan. I don't think I'll finish Arcadia Burn today at all. I definitely will finish Dominion. I might be able to finish one zone of Arcadia because there was one zone that had very few things to do in it left. Like there's one, I did one. I had of the 4 or 5 zones. I've done one of them. Another one didn't have much to do, and I'd already kind of worked a little bit on it. So there's only like a bunker and like a few little bits that I had to find. And then there's the 2 other areas which are much bigger and have much more shit to do. And so I need to work on those. But well, actually, one's really big. Other one's relatively small, so there's a lot of shit all compacted together. And actually, the small thing with a lot of shit compacted together also has a vault key, a vault fragment, and I think that's the last fragment I need. So I might be able to do the last vault in Arcadia, which would be fun. At least have all that shit unlocked. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put a short little pause while I shower and get something to eat, and then I'll come back, finish this quest, like do it all to completion, regardless of how long it takes, and then I'll go into Borderlands. So yeah, that is my plan. So I will be back shortly. Enjoy watching the back of the Wanderer's head.
カサッチさん。
カサッチ、来てくれたの？
ドットーレが女皇に呼び戻された。それだけだ。そっちはどうだい？何か
残念だけど、いろいろな場所でいくつか競泳を観察してみたけど、
アビスの魔物がはびこり、人々は
こういった光景を見るたび僕は、ドゥリンがモンドに現れた時も、こんな感じだったのかなって考えてしまうんだ。もし使命を託された僕が失敗し、
そんなもしもを想像したところで、
以前似たような光景を見た時、僕は声とでも結局その結末は
すでに起きた過去は世界中に記録された運命と同じだ。
だがアリスさんは虚栄の
そんなことは不可能だ。
アリスさんがそう言うならありえない話じゃないと思うんだ。それかでないと僕はドゥリンとして生まれて。
でも39回も試して
そうだけど。
なのに何度も苦労を水の泡にしてきた君ならわかるはずだ。その仮説が現実になることを願っているからだ。せいぜいどうすべきか考えるんだね。
これまでの経験を踏まえて考えると、僕たちは今の状況を打開するには。
僕もそう思うよ。制約に縛られて
触れないって分かってるのに触る。
ああ、その方法はテイワットの全ては世界中に記録されている。だが
世界中が汚染されたがためにテイワットに存在しない。
つまりアビスの力なら共栄。
誰も試したことはないだろうけど。
誰かうちの娘をいなくなってしまったんだ。探さないと。人の声。セバガナ中にいる。
僕のアビスの力でここが危険だって。
重要なのは力。
脅して阻止する。
やってみる。
なあ、小さな女の子を見かけなかったか。
こんな時に何してるの？逃げなさい！
人の声。セバガナ中にいるのか。なんだこれ。危なそうだ。早く逃げよう。
本当に喜ぶのはまだ早い。
正面から魔物が近づいてきた。足止めして隠れる時間を作ってあげよう。
ダメだ、魔物がいる。前に見た障壁。なんでまた。 るで誰かに操られてるみたいだ。魔物が離れた。もう安全か。障壁が消えた。変だな。とにかく先に進もう。
ついていこ
う。まだ人がいたのか。ここは魔物用の罠だらけだ。引き返せ。だが娘がこの先にいるかもしれないんだ。探しに行かないと。道が塞がれてる。
あそこの爆薬を利用したらいいかも。でも巻き込まないよう気をつけなきゃ。障壁を使ってこの人を安全な距離まで遠ざけよ
う。この障壁、まるで俺を助けてくれてるみたいだ。おい、起きろ。ダメだ。先に進もう。こんなに魔物が。
まだどうにかできるはず。
Oh, whoops.
こんなにうまくいってるの、本当にこの人を助け。
Well, no, I mean, he's gonna die at some point.
すまない。俺の娘を見かけなかったか。セパガナって言うんだが、ここにはもう生き残りなんていない。娘を放っておくわけにはいかないんだ。分かった。娘を安全な場所まで。いや、いい。この音はまさか。
あの人が中に入ったらまたな、
なんでだ。これじゃあセパガナを探せない。いや、この障壁を信じよう。これまでもずっと助けてくれたんだ。おい、なんだこれは。さあ、俺たちを閉じ込めやがって。セパガナいるか。
Okay, I'm back. I just eat something real quick.
やっと手がかりが。娘の名前が書いてある。間違いない。
デューリー、さっきみたいに爆薬を使え。
Oh, god damn it. It's just way too close. Way too close.
じゃ足りない。それにやっと見つけた手がかりだし。
手がかりがこれだけとは限らない。命を失うよりはマシだ。止めるんだ、ドゥリーン。彼を生かせるわけにはいかない。
あれは娘の本だ。娘はここに来たんだ。なぜ入れてずっと探してきた。手がかりもなしにどうやって探せと。
And what can be written in those books? Oh, provide you any clues on where she is now, right? Them just being there is the only clue you need, right? Like, it's not like she, like, what, you think your daughter was like, oh, I know, like, I'll leave my books here, and then I'll leave a note for anyone looking for me on the books, so they know to go in the western direction. It's like, no, of course not. Like, no one would fucking do, there are no clues that are going to be in there in that time. Unless it's like a note, like, I mean, there could be a note saying, oh, don't, like, if like, there's a safe spot. So, like,
俺にはもう当てがない。
どうしよう。もうどこにも行こうとしなくなっちゃった。アルベド、カサッチ。
I don't know why you're so focused on this guy too. It's like it could, like, you're not going to be able to save every single person ever.
どうして俺はここに。一体どうなってる。頭に浮かぶこの光景。
彼の反応が変わった。
俺はこれでなんずっと見えてた気がするが、とにかくあんたたちがどういうわけか魔物と死に直面し、 俺は
ああ、
それでも僕たち
あんたたちも娘にはそうか
You haven't seen my daughter, right? How the fuck would I know what your daughter looks like? Seriously? Like, sure, we've been following along, but you've literally never seen your daughter. How the fuck would we know what your daughter looks like? Like, here's a radical idea. Maybe you could fucking describe her.
ごめんなさい。力になれなく。
もう疲れてしまった。これが運命。俺が死ぬまであとどれ。
これまでの経験からするとだいたい15分から
15分からずっと助けてくれてありがとう。
君に心配される
心配した。あんたはモンドから来たと言ってたな。それからあんたはスメールだったか。
Interesting.
巨木の上に学院があるなんて信じられんな。
Oh wait, I was gonna say, like, how are you describing these places? Like, was Mondstadt always a place of windmills even back then? Like, remember, this guy's from 6,000 years ago, but it also could be that, you're from where they built. It could be that they've described their home countries and what it's known for in its current state. Not that this was the state it was in 6,000 years ago.
聞いたことがないのかい？
ああ、それにその地名も
知ってるよ。でも、
ああ、そこは俺の祖先が暮らしてた町だった。
聞いたことない名前だ。
ならシャール・フィンドニーは
ドラゴンスパインの石碑で見たことがあるよ。けど残念ながら。
そうか。いや、すまなかった。俺が
いや、いろいろ知らない話。
あんたたちの話を聞く限り。
モンドは自由で楽しい場所だよ。教会たくさんお祭りがあってみんなで歌ったり。
それと比べたらスメールの雰囲気はかなり厳かだ。でも知識を欲する人にとって。
そうなのか。つまり全てを引き裂く黒き波が去った後も人類は滅びず繁栄する文明を築き上げた。
Oh, okay. So they all. So maybe the Archon War 7,000 years ago was the Heavenly Principles first landing here and kicking out the Dragon God. And then 6,000 years ago, what destroyed Hyperborea was the Abyss Dragon showing up again. Because that would make sense that it's called the all-devouring Black Tide, is when he first arrived with all of his Abyss energy and shit.
俺があんたたちに会えたということは未来は。さて、そろそろ望みは薄いが最後の数分でセパガナを探してみよう。ではまた。いや、
行ってしまったね。あと数分で彼は死を迎える。結局最後の結末は変わらなかったけど、これまでで
望む結果。
カサッチ、一つ聞いてもいい？カサッチは過去のことを話そうとしないよね。まるで僕にも話してもらえない？ほら僕アルベドの出自は聞いてるよ。そしてカサッチは僕のそれでも僕たちが最高の友
It
達
still doesn't make sense. How the fuck were they introduced to each other? You know, he said he was like a pen pal since he came into existence, but like we haven't heard from the Wanderer in ages. We haven't heard since that Academy competition. Now, it seems that he might still be chilling in Sumeru and still be like working with the Academy. But again, it's still kind of weird how he would be a pen pal with a person who just sprung into existence a month ago, right? Like, because like, did like Albedo take you to Sumeru at one point? Did you pass through Sumeru? Because like they said they're basically pen pals, right? It'd be one thing if like they passed through Sumeru to get to Notgrai and they met him there and then they traveled together. But I could have sworn they said, "Oh yeah, I've been writing to him." It's like, well, then how the fuck did you get introduced in the first place?
僕のことは 全部話して。
じゃあその前は？
受験生だ。
わかった。
僕はカーン・ルイヤの機械工学派が残した技術を用いて、白い孤児の枝を素材に本物に似せて作られた人形だ。
A white tree? Is that the Ehrman soul?
白い孤児？それって白銀の孤児のことかい？
ああ、それは世界。
君も誰かに
僕を作った人は僕を、それからは
That he wandered around as an edgy boy.
ルリン、アビスの影響に抗い破壊衝動。でもそれがどれだけ困難であっても過ちを書き換えることよりも難しくはない。
Actually, wait a minute. That raises a really interesting question. Using technology left behind by the Conrian School of Mechanical Engineering. Wasn't it Raiden who made it? Or who made the puppet? Like, it was made to house Raiden. I think. But was deemed a failure. And then who made the current, like who made the current Raiden puppet, right? Was it made the same way, or did they change it? Did they not use the same techniques? Did they use a different school of mechanical engineering? Or was it just the same, like, did they just make a mistake when doing the process, and they just did the exact same thing? You know, a branch of the White Tree, Conrian School of Mechanical... Yeah, but then it also does beg the question, who the fuck had that information? Because I could have sworn they said it was, like, Raiden who did it. But, like, Raiden wouldn't have known this shit. And she's not a mechanical engineer. I forget who they said did this. Who made him? Like, he was designed for Raiden. And I guess maybe we just assumed that Raiden did it. But maybe not. Or maybe one of her friends, maybe one of her dead friends was the one who did it.
君は自分が失敗したら新たな悲劇を生むかもしれないと言ってたけど、僕のただまあ少なくとも一緒にいる仲間たちは、さて、
もしみんな、私よ。あなたたちそれほど大きくはないし、規模も過去に観測し。
アリスさん、結局僕たちは虚栄の人を救えなかった。
なるほど。もう一度試してみてくれる？ニコにもみ。
Wait, is there another one? Are there two? Or is it just that one for this patch?
待っていたわ。
Okay, so it seems like it's probably two then. Because if that's the end of that one, this has to be the start of the next one.
周囲をまんべんなく調べ尽くしてから来るんじゃないかと思ってたけど。今何をすべきで何を後回しにすべきか、ちゃんと優先順位を分かってくれていたのね。冒険家の本能はあなたたちの意志を揺るがさなかった。さて、おしゃべりはここまでにしましょう。私の感知できた内容からすると、じゃあ早く開けて待って。シュペルボレイヤの人々にとって
お前が言ってたあの豪月の月髄を保管し。
じゃあ今何をすべきか教えてくれ。
あら、この術の起源を説明しようと思っていたけど、本当に聞かなくていいの？
優先順位。
じゃあ簡単に説明するわね。 月の三女神が訪れたものの適性を検証する方法。
となるとラウマが一番高い。
英月氏のお嬢さんはもちろん務まると思うけど、だからルール通りに物事を進めようとしても不毛。ちょっと研究してみたんだけど、実はかなり。
体内に？じゃあどうしたらいいんだ？
Well, we have one of the moon marrow, so we should obviously be a good replacement for the second.
そうね。などくらいの土地にある空爆の力を。
術式のルールを。
そうよ。他にも方法はたくさんあるけど。どうしたの？
いや、そういう問題。
何をだ？
新月の夜に関することだ。クータルを祭りに参加させる方法を思いついた。しかし今はパイモンの言う通り優先順位が感じ。
わかったぞ。それでその
他の方法を聞いたらこの方法が100倍増しに思えるわよ。
Let's like, why are we not mentioning the fact that we have the moon marrow on us? Like, shouldn't we be like chock full of it? So we have 2 of the 3 people. Sure, it might be dangerous. I'm also tempted maybe Paimon will count. Like, obviously the thought is that Paimon is one of the heavenly principal goddesses. But she could also be a reincarnation of one of the shattered moons, although presumably not the one that we got the moon marrow, or Lachino's moon marrow from. But there should be a third moon. Maybe Paimon could be an extension of that, but obviously she's far more likely a portion of one of the heavenly principal goddesses.
それならさっき言った通りよ。でも何も考えず空爆を体内に注入するとその反応はだから実際にその後はできる。
随分な苦行に聞こえるな。
3日よ。
体質的に大丈夫でこの
飲まず食わず。なんで？
そんな。
俺にも食べさせて。
Wait, that makes no sense.
3日間
Why are we?
ニコさんが思いついた。
Like, obviously, yeah, she's perfect, but like, why don't we automatically qualify? We literally have a moon marrow inside us. We should be chock full of Kuvaki. Why the fuck do we need to do anything like that? Like, why is no one mentioning that?
じゃあ旅人、あなたから始めま。
Like, you would think Nicole would be able to sense the fact that we're chock full of Kuvaki. Is she gonna mention it now? Oh, wait a minute. No, you're good.
どう？何か違和感はある？今は？じゃあ今は？そう。じゃあ今は？
なんかムキになってない。
なるほど。すごいわ。降臨者の規格外な一面がこんな形で現れるなんて思いもしなかった。
That's interesting. I'm curious what she's
私が
using.
天まで届く巨像の腕を借りて腕相撲をしてるのに、あなたは私が最後に使った力は必要な空爆の濃度のおよそ5。あなたは全く問題では。次はあなたよ、パルカさん。
I mean, yeah, again, it's so weird. Like, if it's just having Kuvaki, wouldn't me having the moon marrow automatically qualify? I still have it, right, didn't I? Yeah, like, it should be Arlecchino has one. Columbina has the other. We didn't give ours to her, I don't think. We should still have it. So we should be good.
俺もやってみよ
じゃあ、直接5倍の濃度で。
ん？いやいや、ちょっと。
では
吐き気がまるでワインを飲む。笑ってくれるなよ。 それから、俺が腕相撲でレディーに負けたことは内緒にしてくれよ。
ごめんなさい。やっぱりちょっと。
どうだ？
さっきよりかはめまいがマシになったが。
ファルカさんは難しそうね。
じゃあ出発だな。他のな。
Just start. Are they just gonna bring them? Oh, just bring them. No, it's her. Oh, I see. This is happening while we go off and go do some shit.
さすが英月氏ね。この状態でもも。
ちょっと頭が痛いね。
惜しいわね。
うわ、かゆい。
アレルギー反応だわ。
どうしたの？やらないの？
魔女会は子供を愛する組織よ。子供は危ないことをしてはいけ。
どうかしましたか？
適性の高い人間は。
なるほど。英月氏以外全滅とはな。俺が
蒼月の子に志願者がいないか。
ライトキーパーの信頼できるもの、それと少し前に蒼月の子を。
Oh, Iluga. That's gonna be the 4-star that's coming out next match, I believe.
ねえねえ、姉ちんがテストするときに使ってる技術、それでナシャタウンでいろんな人にポチポチをしてもらって。
できないわ。
おしゃべり好きが解説を。
じゃあ俺も波追いの峠の方で駐屯してる団員に。
変ね。月神はここまで人々が。
確かあい
つ。それだけではない。月の。
みんながあいつ。
感謝と言った方がいいな。
借りだよ。恩を受けたなら。
何に対しても興味ないように見えて。
共に行動した際に収集したデータを参照。
さあ。本当にコロンビーナが本当の名前じゃないなんて思わなかったよ。ぴったりな名前だと思ってたんだけどな。ふわふわしてて綺麗な感じっていうか。
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking is going to happen. Is we're not going to learn her real name. We're just going to get her to like and identify with her Columbina name, and then once she identifies with that, then it'll be fine.
残念ながら。
コロンビーナ、ファドゥイのコードネーム。私が誕生した時から知っていた。でも本当にそれだけなのかな。誰かもう一度。
期月の夜はもう間もなく訪れます。
私がやってみよう。君たちが冒険者協会で仲間に連絡したとき。
I mean, realistically, she should be a good candidate. You know, because she also has another out of the moon marrow, so she should be able to handle Kuvaki relatively well.
私には月髄を体内に収められるだけの力。
Yeah, exactly.
ハルレッキーノ。
Or maybe that's it. Maybe it's not about having Kuvaki. It's the ability to resist it. But you would think that, like, anyone who, like, you'd think we'd automatically, like, we wouldn't even consider it. It's like, well, yeah, obviously, if you can hold a moon marrow inside you, then obviously you can deal with this shit. Nah, I bet she's gonna be too fiery or something.
今すぐやってみましょう。
I bet her curse or whatever is gonna fuck it up. Oh, okay, never mind. I didn't know if it was going to be something like, oh, but like because the firepower or because the moon marrow of that moon is like so like corrosive or whatever, and like abyss corrupted and fiery and stuff, it might not work. But I guess Kuvaki's Kuvaki.
じゃあパイモンが前言ってたみたいにみんなで順番に
私の仕事は神職を含む様々な面で。
こちらも準備は。
So are we literally just doing this for like 3 days? That's kind of crazy.
晴天は閉じられた。星々は陰り、囚人は沈黙する。昼が暮れ、銀の月が昇るとき、殿堂へ続く門よ、その姿を表せ。
みんなはこの扉を開ける。
心を鎮めればそこまで苦でもなかったな。
先に少しでもいいのでお腹に食べ物を入れてください。そろそろ出発する。この扉をくぐって。あれ、私は3日も経ったから期月の夜まで。
Okay, well, I said I was. Let's see. Okay. So I said I was going to do this to complete, to completion. I didn't realize it was. I'd forgotten it was going to be 2 Archon quests, so I'm not going to do the other Archon quest now. I have already been playing this game for a bit, so I'll continue the next Archon quest. Maybe not tomorrow. I think I might focus on the Zenless tomorrow just to get the. So I don't get stuck in the same situation where I have a Hollow Zero to do on Sunday at the same time. I also what's wrong one?
Yeah.
Let's see what because I haven't done the Hollow. I didn't do Hollow Zero because I didn't do it on Monday because I think I just did the Genshin patch. No, I think I did the Zenless patch quest. Never got around to doing that. So I want to kind of wrap that up, because that actually is going to wrap up, and based on how long these quests typically take, it'll be another 2 to 3 hours. So I don't have to. I could do it, but I have other shit to do. So I want to play some Borderlands, while it's fresh, and then get to the other things I have to do before the end of the week. Oh yeah, fuck! I gotta do this so I get those parts, because I leveled Nefer to 90 before I did her quest, and so I got these parts that I can't use anymore. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and call it. I will be logging in very shortly to play some more Borderlands 4. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all